Hello, everyone. My name is Arlene Sales. I am a senior researcher at Uppsala University, and I'm the acting leader of the work package Responsible Research and Innovation in the Human Brain Project. I will provide a brief presentation of the HBP's Ethics and Society Opinion, Trust and Transparency in Artificial Intelligence. This presentation will of necessity be incomplete. Many of the issues that are addressed in the opinion will not be given particular attention here, but this doesn't mean that they are not important. It has to do with time. Now, I will start by providing some background information. Then I will tell you a bit about the process of writing the opinion, and then I will focus on the content. The Ethics and Society Opinions are collective documents written by HBP researchers in the humanities and the social sciences, in what at the time was the Ethics and Society Subproject. These documents attempt to identify and address ethical and social issues directly relevant to the HBP. Now, what did we know as we decided to work on an opinion on AI? First, that AI research was advancing and is advancing rapidly and raising various ethical issues related to safety, risks, trust, transparency, and accountability, among others. We also knew that the HBP uses and develops AI technology. We are also aware that contemporary ethical analysis of artificial intelligence is growing rapidly. One of its most recognizable outcomes is the publication of a number of ethics guidelines that, intended to guide governmental policy, address issues raised by AI design, development, and implementation, and generally present a set of recommendations. And finally, we're aware of the specific EU strategy on AI. The ethics guidelines for trustworthy AI by the high-level expert group on artificial intelligence highlight the importance of trustworthiness for ethically sound AI systems, providing specific requirements that must be met for achieving such trustworthiness. Specifically, it calls for ensuring lawful, ethical, and robust AI. The aims then of the opinion were to deepen and enrich the understanding of some ethical and social concerns raised by AI in general, and to suggest options for increased awareness and responsiveness to such issues in the HBP. So the questions we had in mind as we were writing the opinion were, how can the HBP take advantage of the rich ethical discussion on AI? In this respect, a document presenting some of the key discussion and reflecting on crucial insights in such discussion could be useful to provide the necessary guidance. We were clear that the primary audience would be HBP researchers and developers, because we're focusing specifically on issues that would be relevant to the HBP. The process of writing the opinion was the following. 2018, we created an AI opinion editorial board. These were 4 members from the Ethics and Society Subproject, again, humanities and social sciences. We did receive feedback, though, from all members of the Ethics and Society Subproject. Ultimately, the opinion was written by all of us. And we were particularly grateful to get comments and advice from the Ethics Advisory Board. We got feedback from HBP researchers, civil society via consultations, webinars, workshops, and so on. The document was delivered in March 2020 and a revised document published on the website in 2021. What was the content of the opinion? In general terms, to make this useful to the HBP, we have to start by focusing on HBP-related work. And then we decided to explain some key notions in the AI ethics debate, presenting some conceptual and practical concerns. Since the EU guidelines put trustworthy AI as a foundational ambition and transparency is a core value in scientific research and innovation, we focused on those. We then pointed to the relevance of the discussion to the HBP and offered some recommendations. Now, in order to determine what were the AI-related activities in the HBP, we had to start by trying to understand what AI is. And that is a taxing issue because there are several definitions of AI. Because HPP is an EC-funded project, we focused on definitions coming from EU policy. In particular, we took the high-level expert group definition of AI as human-designed software and possibly hardware systems that, given a goal, act in the physical and digital dimension by perceiving their environment through data acquisition, interpreting collected structured and unstructured data, reasoning on the knowledge provided by or processing information derived from the data, and deciding the best action to achieve the relevant goal. On the basis of the above, we can say that there is AI-related work in the HPP. For example, HPP researchers develop and use AI to improve neuroscientific research. To illustrate, deep learning neural networks for data analysis and interpretation is commonly used. AI techniques, notably machine learning, are used and developed to analyze large data sets from different sources for the diagnosis of neurological disorders. In the development of computational brain models, machine learning is used to analyze the necessary data. The HPP is developing analog and digital neuromorphic computing hardware. The neurorobotic platform allows researchers to embed simulated brain models in virtual or real bodies. That is, there is work at the intersection of AI and neuroscience in the HPP. And importantly, EBRAINS, the main output of the HPP, can be used for AI-related research. On the basis of the above, we decided to focus on this foundational ambition of the EU guidelines, which is that actors and processes that are part of the system's technical context throughout its entire life cycle be worthy of our individual and collective trust. This, of course, raised a number of issues, particularly because there is no consensus on what trust and trustworthiness are. So some of the issues that we discussed were how to understand placing trust, which is an attitude, not just on the humans behind the systems, but on technical objects and systems. In short, is it possible to meaningfully attribute trustworthiness, that is a property typically used to describe a human feature, to artificial entities and systems? I should note that since then, a couple of articles have been addressing these concerns about trustworthiness and trust, and to what extent it can be meaningfully applied to AI. Now, if we focus on the human aspect, who are the humans whose trust we seek, and what kind of trust is sought? What are the relevant contextual considerations? Is the trust that we seek epistemic, that is related to people's beliefs about the reliability of the information provided by AI? Or is it moral, that is typically interpersonal, generally entails beliefs about the motivational structure of those one trusts? If it is moral, again, how to understand it in this context? And ultimately, the question continues to be, how can this desired trustworthiness be built and measured? Transparency is the most prevalent principle in many of the existing guidelines and applies to domains such as data use, human-AI interaction, automated decisions, and the purpose of data use or application of AI systems. It is typically seen as means to trustworthiness, but valuable in itself as well. It has been related to a number of elements. In the EU guidelines, it is closely linked with the principle of explicability. Still, the notion of transparency is not univocal, and while its utility seems unquestionable, there is still work to be done regarding how to increase it, particularly considering that the behavior of AI systems is hardly predictable, and some algorithms in AI based on deep neural networks are just non-explainable. Awareness of these issues and further reflection on how to address them is key. We consider that this exercise of highlighting ethical and societal issues raised by AI is important to HPP research. To illustrate, understanding and being aware of the call for trustworthiness and of trust-related issues raised by AI and discussed in the literature is important in the development and use of deep learning neural networks for data analysis and interpretation, which are intended to contribute to neuroscience knowledge and applications. It is also important in the use and development of various AI-related techniques to better the diagnosis of neurological disorders. Similarly, raising awareness about the need to engage with the potential impacts of AI and robotics applications, and of identifying and addressing the potential issues, including those related to trustworthiness raised by commercialization and international transfer of AI technologies, is key if the goal is a responsible and trustworthy AI. On the basis of our research, we prepared 6 main recommendations intended to foster further reflection and ethically shape the research. Among them, we call for providing an overview of AI-related activities in the HPP, for involving clinicians and other users and beneficiaries in discussing these issues, in including ethics and RRI in the HPP's AI education program, among others. The present opinion, though, does not aim at exhaustiveness in its analysis of the factors contributing to trust and trustworthiness. Rather, it is intended as a starting point for more work around trust, trustworthiness, transparency, and all those key notions and the key requisites for a better AI. Thank you.